All right, getting back in 4 in Genesis. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain. And Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Keep in mind here that Cain is bearing out to be the firstborn. As we see the stories comparing twos in the Bible, there's always a firstborn, an elder, and then there's a younger, and they usually have the same outcome. The younger usually sweeps in behind the elder. It receives the blessing one way or another. This is an important thread through this book. And she again bare his brother Abel, and she again bare his brother Abel. Abel, let's see, 4 transitories at the time as well, place, offering, prominent, appointed, grand. There's a lot of stuff here on Abel. It's good to note that these children were most likely twins. The original words where it says she again bare is continued, as to say continued in birth when Abel was born. So they were most likely twins, one just a little older than the other. Abel was the keeper of sheep. Now this is kind of an important thing here. But Cain was the tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of his fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. Now it's interesting here that Abel was a keeper of sheep. This is like in the spirit of Jesus. Jesus was many times likened to a shepherd and keeper of sheep. And here we are with Abel, the keeper of sheep. And Cain is he's into the garden. He's into the fruits and vegetables. Of the firstling of his flock and thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain and his offering he had not respect. Why? Because Cain did not give him his best. Cain, if you wanted to look at this spiritually, would be the carnal minded. He looked at things at face value. He didn't investigate. He didn't meditate. He didn't try to understand what God was telling him. He didn't. He was kind of crabby and in a bad mood, a sign of low countenance. He was, and why? Well, a lot of people think that Cain was from that serpent in that sense. Not necessarily a physical union, but certainly this was the result of Eve reaching for that tree and becoming impregnated, so to speak, with knowledge. This is what it does to a person. They lose their love for Christ. They become knowledgeable, and they become unloving. If you can't take knowledge with love, it's a hard row to hoe. And it's like his father, knowledge. He was in not a very well state. He was not very well received, and he's in a bad mood. And we can see here words to this effect. But unto Cain and his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. He was angry. He was in a bad mood. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is our countenance fallen? Think about the devil here that fell to earth. Why is thou countenance fallen? And this fallenness puts me in mind of that angel falling to earth, that Satan. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? If we love God, if we do what God says, shall we not be accepted by God? Through Christ, I should say. And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. Here lately I see this in a spiritual sense. Anything other than the worship of Jesus Christ and that cross and that price paid and what that plan has for all of us, anything other than that, sin lieth at the door, comes to my mind spiritually. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over thee. But I skipped a line here. Doest well, thou shalt be accepted. And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. To me, spiritually, I look at this and I see, when we just start running with the knowledge and the nuts and bolts of God and His universe, when we start getting so big for our britches that we're building supercomputers, super quantum computers, and we're building the CERN colliders and the things that poke in the eye of God. This is what this reminds me of here. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Kind of cocky, kind of unhumble, kind of. You can almost, for somebody to talk to God in this tone, you have to almost see them as losing their fear for God. He's talking to God in a way that he has no respect nor fear for God. And I think this is what our big-time scientists are working on today, the same attitude toward God. They want to copy everything God did by create the beginning explosion. They say they're looking for God's birth in that CERN collider, but actually what they're doing is trying to take what God created and make it their own, so be their own God. This same attitude you can see in Cain. And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Spiritually, I think that we're talking about the soul of Abel, who is now in contact with God in that heavenly state, in that afterlife. He is now where God is, and he can hear Abel in that ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood. I just got through reading in the Old Testament, somewhere around Deuteronomy, when it says you're not to eat the blood because the blood is life. And it was talking about sacrifice animals and eating, and it was given the rules for not partaking of the blood itself. And I thought that sounded strange, how blood is life. And here we are. The earth is opened up to swallow Abel's blood from thy hand. And thou tillest the ground, and it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And I could have swore that said all the days of my life, but I must be thinking of another passage. That being said, I'm going to stop here because this video, they get kind of long. I want to be around 10 minutes. But this little exercise and study is kind of a thing where I want to see what comes to me carnally by reading the words, thinking carnally, and then trying to go to the spiritual vein and see what comes to me spiritually. With that being said, I'm going to load this video up. Thank you for taking a listen, and I hope to see you next time.